So we want a handle on how to manage this paradox or mystery that God forbids things He brings about. And God commands things that He hinders from happening. That in one sense something is the will of God, and in another sense that same something is not the will of God. Without this category of thought, I don't think you can make sense out of the Bible, the God of the Bible. So let's look at these two kinds of willing. Here's number one. Let's call it either the sovereign will of God or His will of decree. It means God's sovereign control of everything that comes to pass. It's one of the clearest teachings of the Bible. Let's look at some verses. I think I'll just quote them. You can jot them down and look at them later, but you know them, most of them. Matthew 26:39, Jesus is in Gethsemane, and He prays like this: Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. Matthew 26:39. What does as you will mean? What kind of will of God is that? Well, it means His plan for Jesus to be crucified. If there's no other way, Father, if that is the infinitely wise way, the infinitely loving way, the infinitely just way, do what you must do. And He did it. And here's the crucial thing to observe. It was shot through with sin and could not have happened without sin. It's a sin to kill the Son of God. It's a sin to mock the Son of God. It's a sin to whip the Son of God with stripes prophesied in the Old Testament. It's a sin to be expedient and wash your hands and hand Him over. And yet, we all know from Acts chapter 4, verse 27, truly in this city there were gathered together against your holy servant Jesus, whom you anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate, along with the Gentiles and peoples of Israel, to do whatever your hand and your plan had predestined to take place. The script was written for this night and this Good Friday in Isaiah 53 in great detail, and in Psalm 22, and in many other passages. The script was written. The will of God is a fixed, determinate purpose to bring about the death of His Son. Isaiah 53:10, it was the will of the Lord to bruise Him. And it was full of sin. Which means we must have a category of thinking that says God can ordain that sin happen without being a sinner. If you don't have that category in your mind, you can't handle the cross and the prophecies. God ordains that there be sin in the particulars of the death of His Son, because He couldn't have been crucified without it, and He is not Himself a sinner in ordaining that sin be